The sky of Carzia Prime burned orange that evening as something unusual streaked across its atmosphere. The Vex people, with their silvery skin and large eyes, looked up from their labor in the crystal mines. Many dropped to their knees, thinking it was another Drizari warship coming to collect their monthly quota, or punish those who failed to meet it. But this was different. The object was smaller, moved erratically, and left a trail unlike the precise formations of their overlords. Lieutenant Jack Ellis fought with the controls of his scout ship as warning lights flashed across every panel. The impact with the asteroid field had damaged more than just his navigation system. Life support was failing, and the heat shields were barely holding together. Mayday, Mayday. This is Lieutenant Jack Ellis of Earth Alliance scout vessel Starseeker. Anyone receiving? Jack called into the communication system. Static answered him as it had for the past hour. The planet below looked habitable, at least according to his damaged sensors. He had no choice. It was crash land or die in space. Here goes nothing, Jack muttered, aiming for what looked like an uninhabited valley between two mountain ranges. The ship screamed through the lower atmosphere, parts of the outer hull tearing away. Jack braced himself as the ground rushed up to meet him. The impact knocked him unconscious. When Jack woke, his head throbbed and something warm dripped down his face. Blood. He tried to move, but pain shot through his left leg. The cockpit was crushed around him and smoke filled the air. He had to get out before the remaining fuel cells exploded. Jack dragged himself through the shattered side window, pulling his emergency pack with him. He made it 20 meters before his legs gave out. As darkness claimed him again, he thought he saw slender figures moving toward him in the twilight. Kill him now. It is the safest option. But Elder Vax, we know so little about his kind. We know enough. The Drizari say humans are destroyers of worlds. Jack drifted in and out of consciousness, catching fragments of conversation in a language he didn't understand. His translator implant was working to decode it, but needed more samples. He felt cool hands on his forehead and forced his eyes open. A face hovered above him, not human but humanoid. Silvery skin with a faint blue tint. Large almond-shaped eyes that reflected light like mirrors. No visible ears, just slight ridges where they should be. Jack tried to speak but could only cough. The being stepped back quickly. He wakes, the figure said, and now Jack's translator caught it. Several more of the aliens appeared, these holding what looked like weapons. Spears with glowing crystal tips. One jabbed toward him, stopping just short of his chest. "Do not move, human," this one said, the voice deeper than the first. Jack raised his hands slowly. "I mean no harm," he said, hoping his translator would convert his words for them. The beings looked at each other in what seemed like surprise. "It speaks our language," said one. "Deception," said another. "The Drizari told us humans are cunning." Jack's mind raced. These aliens knew about humans, and they seemed afraid. But they mentioned the Drizari as if they were a different group. "I am not with the Drizari," Jack said carefully. "My ship crashed. I'm injured and need help." The gathering parted as an older alien approached. This one's skin had faded to almost white and decorative markings covered its arms. "I am Elder Vax of the Vex people," the alien said. "You claim to be separate from the Drizari Empire?" Jack nodded. "My name is Lieutenant Jack Ellis. I'm from Earth, part of the Earth Alliance. I've never met the Drizari." Elder Vax's eyes narrowed. "Yet you arrive in a ship of war." "It's a scout vessel," Jack explained. "For exploration, not combat." "Exploration that brought you directly to our world? When the Drizari have doubled their patrols?" Another Vex challenged. Jack tried to sit up, but pain flared in his ribs. "My navigation system was damaged. I was mapping the outer system when I hit an asteroid field. This was the only habitable planet in range." The first Vex he had seen, the one with the gentler voice, stepped forward again. "Elder, his injuries are severe. Even if he lies, we can learn nothing from him dead." Elder Vax considered this. "Very well, Nix. Tend to him, but he remains under guard. When he is strong enough, the council will question him." The others departed, leaving Jack with the one called Nix and 2 guards with crystal spears. "You should not move," Nix said, kneeling beside him. "Your leg bone is broken and there is internal bleeding." Jack watched as Nix opened a small pouch and removed what looked like crushed leaves. "What are you going to do?" "Heal you, if possible," Nix replied, "though human physiology may differ from ours." As Nix pressed the leaves against his wounds, Jack noticed the delicate webbing between the Vex's fingers. Their hands had 6 digits instead of 5. "The Drizari," Jack said through gritted teeth as the medicine burned. "Who are they to you?" Nix paused. "Our masters. They came to our world 10 generations ago. We mine crystals for them, farm their crops, build their cities." "You're slaves," Jack realized. "We prefer to call ourselves the not yet free," Nix said with what might have been a sad smile. As Nix worked, Jack felt an odd sensation in his mind, like fingers gently probing. He jerked back. "What was that?" he demanded. Nix looked startled. "You felt it? I apologize. My people are telepathic. When we touch others, sometimes connections form. I did not mean to intrude." Jack relaxed slightly. "So you can read my thoughts?" "Not exactly. Just impressions, emotions, intentions." Nix's mirrored eyes widened suddenly. "You truly did not come to harm us." Before Jack could respond, a horn sounded in the distance. The guards tensed. "Drizari patrol," one of them said. "They must be looking for the crashed ship." Nix quickly wrapped Jack's wounds. "We must move him. If they find a human here, they will kill everyone in the village." "Why would they do that?" Jack asked as they lifted him onto a crude stretcher. "Because the Drizari have standing orders to eliminate all humans they encounter," Nix explained. "They fear your kind above all others." Jack winced as they carried him through a hidden door in the earth and down into darkness. "That doesn't make sense. The Earth Alliance hasn't even explored this sector before." Nix's voice was grim in the shadows. "Then perhaps you are not the first human to find us, Lieutenant Jack Ellis." They descended deeper into a network of tunnels lit by glowing crystals. Jack saw signs of an organized community. Living quarters, storage areas, even what looked like a command center with crude maps on the walls. "This is our resistance," Nix explained quietly. "For generations we have worked to free our people from Drizari control." "And you think I'm here to stop you?" Jack asked. "The Drizari have told us that humans are their special enforcers. Assassins, who eliminate rebellions on conquered worlds." Nix studied him. "But I touched your mind. You seemed surprised by this information." Jack shook his head. "It's not true. None of it. But if the Drizari are enemies of humans, maybe I can help your resistance." Nix looked doubtful. "The Council will decide your fate, human. For now, you rest here." They placed Jack in a small chamber carved from the rock. The guards took positions outside. As Nix turned to leave, Jack called out, "Wait, before you go, have you ever met another human?" Nix paused in the doorway. "Not I. But there are stories among the elders. Stories of a human who came before. He did not live long enough to earn our trust." The door closed, leaving Jack alone with his thoughts in the dim crystal light, wondering what had happened to the previous human visitor, and whether he would share the same fate. 3 days passed in the underground Vex headquarters. Jack's wounds healed faster than expected thanks to Nix's medicine. The pain in his leg lessened, and the cuts on his face closed cleanly. Still, he remained a prisoner, confined to the small, rock chamber with guards always watching. On the 4th day, Nix entered with a tray of food. "The Council will see you today," Nix said, placing the tray beside Jack's bed. "They have questions." Jack sat up slowly. "I have questions too. Like, why do the Drizari hate humans so much when we've barely explored this part of space?" Nix sat on a nearby stool. "The Drizari control many systems. Perhaps they met humans elsewhere." "Maybe." Jack picked at the strange purple fruit on his tray. It tasted like a mix of apple and cinnamon. "Will they execute me after the questions?" Nix's silver face showed concern. "Commander Zora wants to. She leads our fighters and distrusts all outsiders. But you don't agree? I touched your mind, remember? I sensed no evil there. Nyx hesitated. Also, I am curious about you. Humans are rare in our stories. Jack smiled for the first time since the crash. Glad my exotic appeal might save my life. Nyx looked confused until Jack explained it was a joke. The concept seemed new to the Vex. Your language has many layers, Nyx observed. Mine is more direct because we often share thoughts. Could you teach me some Vex words? It might help with the council. For the next hour, Nyx taught Jack basic Vex greetings and respectful terms for the elders. Jack noticed that Vex language relied heavily on tone and slight telepathic nudges that humans couldn't produce. It's time, Nyx finally said as a horn sounded somewhere deeper in the complex. 2 guards arrived to escort Jack. He walked with a slight limp, following them through winding tunnels until they reached a large circular chamber. About 30 Vex sat in a half-circle facing a single stone chair. Behind them, hundreds more Vex watched from ledges carved into the walls. Elder Vax sat in the center of the council, with a fierce-looking female Vex beside him. Her arms bore more battle scars than decorative markings. Commander Zora, Nyx whispered, confirming Jack's guess. Jack was directed to the stone chair. As he sat, he noticed metal rings attached to the arms and legs. Restraints, if needed. Human, Elder Vax began. You claim to be separate from the Drazari Empire. Yet for generations, the Drazari have told us that humans are their enforcers, sent to destroy resistance on conquered worlds. Jack kept his voice steady. My people, the Earth Alliance, have never allied with the Drazari. In fact, this is the first time I've heard of them. Commander Zora leaned forward. Convenient lies. The previous human said similar things before. We discovered his true purpose. What happened to him? Jack asked. Kevin Martinez died helping the Drazari find our main base 5 cycles ago, Zora snapped. Many Vex died that day. Jack felt a chill. Kevin Martinez, an Earth name. So humans had been here before. I don't know who Kevin Martinez was, Jack said carefully. But I'm not him, I'm a scout pilot. My mission was to map this system for future exploration, not to hunt anyone. A murmur ran through the crowd. Your ship carried weapons. Another, Elder pointed out, standard defenses only. For meteors and space debris, Commander Zora stood. If what you say is true, prove it. Tell us of these Earth people. Are they conquerors like the Drazari? Jack thought carefully. What he said next might determine whether he lived or died. Humans value freedom above almost everything else, he began. Our history is full of struggles against those who would enslave others. We're not perfect, we've made many mistakes, but we don't believe in empires built on slave labor. He looked directly at Commander Zora. If Earth knew what was happening here, they would help you, not the Drazari. Bold claims, Elder Vax said. Yet the Drazari show us images of human soldiers destroying villages on other worlds. Propaganda, Jack suggested. Or perhaps they use mercenaries who happen to be human. But the Earth Alliance doesn't conquer worlds. Nyx stepped forward unexpectedly. Council members, with permission, I can verify his words. The council members looked at each other. You propose a deep link? Elder Vax asked, clearly concerned. Nyx nodded. I've already touched his mind briefly. He did not resist. It could harm you, healer, Commander Zora warned. I accept the risk, Nyx replied. After several minutes of debate in the Vex language, Elder Vax nodded. Proceed, but with caution. Nyx approached Jack. I must touch your temples. The connection will be stronger than before. Do not fight it. Jack nodded, though he felt nervous. Nyx's cool hands pressed against his temples, and suddenly he felt a presence in his mind, gentle but unmistakable. Images flashed between them. Earth's blue oceans and green forests, the crowded streets of the Mars colony, Jack's childhood home in Colorado, his training at the academy, his first flight into deep space. Then Nyx shared images too. The beautiful crystal forests of Karzia, prime before the Drizari came, the day the first massive ships darkened their skies, the generations of servitude that followed, the rise of the resistance. When Nyx finally pulled away, both were breathing hard. "Well?" Commander Zora demanded. Nyx turned to the council. "He speaks truth. His people value freedom as we do, and he knows nothing of alliance with the Drizari." "Could he block thoughts from you?" an elder asked. "No." The link was complete. Nyx looked back at Jack with new understanding. "But I learned something else. The human named Kevin Martinez that we thought betrayed us. In Jack's memories, I saw his face on a memorial wall labeled Fallen Heroes." The chamber erupted in confused discussion. Commander Zora called for silence. "Explain," she demanded. Jack was confused himself. "I don't understand. I recognize the name now. Kevin Martinez was reported lost on a deep exploration mission 3 years ago. He was honored posthumously for bravery. If Martinez was truly Earth Alliance and not working for the Drizari," Elder Vax began, "then we may have been wrong about him." Nyx finished. "And about this human too." Commander Zora remained skeptical. "Or this is an elaborate deception." The debate continued until a young Vex burst into the chamber. "Drizari patrols," he shouted. "They found the human ship and are expanding their search pattern. They'll reach the eastern tunnels by nightfall." Commander Zora turned to Jack. "If you truly oppose the Drizari, now is your chance to prove it. Will you help us fight, human? Or will you run to your true masters?" Jack stood, ignoring the pain in his leg. "I'll help you. But I need to know what happened to Kevin Martinez. First," Elder Vax gestured to a side tunnel. "Show him." Nyx led Jack down a narrow passage to a small shrine. There, among Vex memory crystals, sat a battered Earth Alliance patch and a broken communicator. "We found these with him," Nyx explained. "After the attack, when we realized he hadn't betrayed us." Jack picked up the patch. It was authentic Earth Alliance, Scout Division, just like his own. "He was trying to warn you, wasn't he?" Jack asked quietly. Nyx nodded. "We understand now that he learned of the Drizari trap and tried to stop it. He died fighting beside us, not against us." Jack set the patch down gently. "Then I'll do the same if I have to. But first, let's try to avoid a fight altogether. No Earth Alliance protocols. I might be able to send a distress signal that would bring help." For the first time, hope flickered in Nyx's mirrored eyes. "Can your people truly defeat the Drizari?" "I don't know," Jack admitted. "But we can try. And that's more than you had yesterday." They returned to the council chamber where Commander Zora waited impatiently. "Decision?" she asked. Jack straightened his shoulders. "I'll help you fight the Drizari. For Kevin Martinez. For freedom. And because it's the right thing to do." "Commander." Zora studied him for a long moment, then offered her arm in the Vex warrior greeting that Nyx had taught him earlier. "Then for now, human, we fight together." The next week passed in a blur of activity. Jack worked with Commander Zora to reorganize the Vex fighters, teaching them human military tactics. The Vex were quick learners but had always relied on secrecy rather than direct confrontation. That had to change if they wanted to truly challenge the Drizari. "Your people fight strange," Commander Zora said after watching Jack demonstrate hand-to-hand combat techniques. "Always attacking, even when retreating." Jack helped a Vex fighter up. "From the ground. Humans learned long ago that the best defense is sometimes a good offense. The Drizari expect you to hide. They won't expect you to strike back." At night, Jack worked with Nyx to repair his damaged communications equipment. They had carried parts from his crashed ship to the underground base. Most of the technology was beyond repair, but Jack hoped to build a simple transmitter that could reach any Earth Alliance ships passing through nearby systems. "Will your people really come to help us?" Nyx asked one night as they worked. "We are strangers to them." Jack connected 2 wires carefully. "It's what we do. Or try to do anyway. Help people who need it." "The Drizari say the same," Nyx pointed out. "They claim they brought order to our chaotic world. Is that what they call slavery? Order?" Jack shook his head. There's a difference between helping and controlling. On the 8th day after the council meeting, a Vex scout returned with alarming news. The Drizari had doubled their patrols and brought in special tracking equipment. They know a human survived the crash, Commander Zora told Jack. They're searching every village, punishing anyone they suspect of hiding you. Jack felt sick. People are suffering because of me. People were suffering before you arrived, Elder Vax reminded him. But now the suffering has purpose. Hope spreads among our people. Commander Zora unrolled a crude map on the table. The Drizari have a communication outpost here, at the edge of the western mountains. It's lightly defended because of its remote location. You want to attack it? Jack realized. With your combat training, we might succeed. Commander Zora looked at him seriously. And you could use their equipment to contact your people. The plan was risky, but made sense. After 2 days of preparation, Jack led a team of 12 Vex fighters through mountain passes toward the Drizari outpost. Nix insisted on coming too, as both a healer and because the telepathic abilities of the Vex could help detect enemy patrols. They traveled only at night, hiding during daylight hours, in caves or dense forests. The landscape of Karzia Prime was beautiful in a strange way. Forests of crystalline trees that chimed softly in the breeze, fields of blue grass that glowed faintly in darkness. Your world is amazing, Jack told Nix as they rested during the second day. I can see why you fight for it. It was more beautiful before the Drizari, Nix said sadly. They have mined many regions to barren rock. On the third night, they reached the ridge overlooking the Drizari outpost. It was a small facility with 2 communications towers and a handful of buildings surrounded by a force field. Jack counted just 8 Drizari guards. The Drizari were tall, reptilian beings with scaled skin in shades of red and black. They wore powered armor that made them appear even larger than their natural 7 feet. Their armor is their weakness, Jack explained to the team. It's powerful but restricts movement. They won't be able to turn quickly. The attack began just before dawn. 2 Vex with special abilities created a distraction by making the Drizari think they heard noises to the east of the compound. When 4 guards moved to investigate, Jack led the main team through a blind spot in the perimeter sensors that Nix had identified. The plan worked better than expected. They disabled the force field and took control of the main building before the Drizari realized what was happening. Only 1 Vex fighter was injured in the assault. Secure the prisoners, Jack instructed as they rounded up the surprised Drizari guards. Don't hurt them unless they resist. In the communications room, Jack worked quickly. The Drizari technology was advanced but followed logical patterns he recognized. Within an hour, he had figured out how to send a broad-spectrum distress signal on Earth Alliance frequencies. Lieutenant Jack Ellis to any Earth Alliance vessel. Mayday. Crashed on planet in Karzian system. Local population enslaved by hostile force called the Drizari. Requesting immediate assistance. He repeated the message on a loop and set it to broadcast continuously. Will they hear it? Nix asked. I don't know, Jack admitted. It depends if any Alliance ships are within range. Commander Zora entered the communications room. We need to move. The Drizari will send reinforcements when this outpost fails to make its scheduled check-in. Jack nodded. I've done what I can here. The message will keep broadcasting until they shut it down. As they prepared to leave, one of the Vex fighters called out in excitement. He had discovered a data terminal with access to Drizari deployment information. Jack scanned through the files quickly. This shows all their patrol routes and outpost locations. It's a goldmine of intelligence. But another file caught his attention. A report about a human scientist captured 2 years earlier. Dr. Lisa Warren, Jack read aloud. Earth Alliance xenobiologist. Lost during expedition to the Mira sector. Another human? Commander Zora looked over his shoulder. What does it say happened to her? Jack skimmed the report. She was held for questioning, then transferred to Governor Thaxis for special interrogation. But there's a note here dated 6 months ago saying she escaped during transport and is believed to be hiding with a mountain tribe called the Krell. The Krell, Nix exclaimed. They live in the northern ice peaks. They broke contact with other Vex years ago when the Drizari came, Jack downloaded as much data as he could onto a portable device. We need to contact these Krell people. If Dr. Warren is alive, she might help us organize a larger resistance. They left the outpost as silently as they had entered, taking a different route back to avoid patrols. The Drizari would be furious when they discovered what happened. 2 days into their return journey, they heard the distant roar of Drizari ships passing overhead. The news of the raid had spread. They're heading toward the main settlement areas, Commander Zora said grimly. They'll make examples of innocent Vex. Jack felt the weight of responsibility. We need to stop them. How? We are few. They are many, one of the fighters said. By not being few anymore, Jack replied. These Drizari files show that the mountain tribes aren't the only Vex living apart. There are forest clans to the south and cave dwellers in the eastern regions. If we can unite all Vex against the Drizari, they have always been separate, Elder Vax, who had stayed behind, explained when they returned to the base. Old rivalries, different beliefs. But do they all want freedom? Jack asked. Of course, Nix answered. Then we have something to build on, Jack said. And now we have proof the Drizari can be beaten. Our raid succeeded. Other attacks can succeed too. Commander Zora studied the maps from the Drizari database. Even united, we lack their weapons, their ships. But we have something they don't. Jack countered. Knowledge of this world. And now, thanks to Dr. Warren, possibly human allies in the mountains. The council debated through the night. By morning, they had a new plan. Jack would lead a mission to find Dr. Warren and the Krell tribe, while Commander Zora organized other Vex groups for coordinated strikes against Drizari supply lines. As they prepared for the journey north, Nix approached Jack with a concerned expression. The Drizari governor has posted a reward for your capture, Nix said, showing Jack a transmission they had intercepted. 1 million credits for the human alive, half that amount dead. Jack studied the image of Governor Thaxis, a particularly large Drizari with black scales lined with gold. The governor's eyes seemed to glow with malice even in the still image. Seems I've made an impression, Jack said with a grim smile. You have given us something we had lost, Nix replied. Not just tactics or technology, but belief that we can win. Jack checked his makeshift weapon, assembled from parts of his crashed ship. Let's make sure that belief isn't misplaced. Find Dr. Warren, unite the tribes, and show the Drizari that humans and Vex together are more than they can handle. The mountain expedition team departed the next day. Jack, Nix, and 8 of the strongest Vex fighters. Ahead lay the treacherous Ice Peaks and, hopefully, another human survivor who could help turn the tide against the Drizari. Behind them, the resistance grew stronger each day, spreading Jack's tactics and, more importantly, spreading hope. The journey to the northern mountains took 12 days. Jack and the Vex team traveled through increasingly harsh terrain as the temperature dropped. Crystal forests gave way to barren rock, then to ice-covered slopes that reflected the planet's pale sunlight. The Krell chose this region because the Drizari avoid extreme cold, Nix explained as they climbed a narrow path between towering ice cliffs. Their scales crack in these temperatures. Jack pulled his makeshift coat tighter. Human skin wasn't much better in this climate. The coat was made from insulating material salvaged from his ship, but still barely kept out the biting wind. On the 13th day, they spotted smoke rising from behind a ridge. As they approached cautiously, 4 figures emerged from the snow. Vex, but different from Nix's people. Their silver skin had a distinct purple tint, and they wore thick furs decorated with crystal shards. Halt, called one in the Vex language. Lower your weapons or die where you stand. Nix stepped forward, hands raised. We come in peace, cousins. We seek the human woman who lives among you. The Krell guards looked at each other in surprise, then noticed Jack standing behind Nix. Another sky person? One asked in disbelief. I'm looking for Dr. Lisa Warren, Jack said. Is she alive? The guards whispered among themselves before their leader nodded. Follow, but we watch you closely. They were led to a settlement built into the side of the mountain. a network of caves with ice walls reinforced by salvaged metal. Inside, the temperature was surprisingly comfortable. Dozens of Krell Vex stopped their activities to stare at the newcomers, especially at Jack. In the largest chamber, sitting beside a fire pit, was a human woman. She looked to be in her 50s, with gray streaking her dark hair. When she saw Jack, she dropped the tool she was holding and stood quickly. "My God," she said in English. "You're human." "Dr. Lisa Warren?" Jack asked, hardly believing he'd actually found her. She approached slowly, as if fearing he might vanish. "Lieutenant Ellis, Jack Ellis?" She read the name on his tattered uniform. "Earth Alliance?" Jack nodded. "We thought you were dead. Your expedition was declared lost 2 years ago." Dr. Warren laughed, a sound somewhere between joy and disbelief. "I might say the same about you. What are you doing on this planet?" Over the next hours, they exchanged stories. Dr. Warren had been captured by Drizari during a scientific mission, then escaped during transport with the help of Krell rebels who attacked the convoy. She'd been living with them since, learning their language and culture while helping improve their medical care and defenses. "The Drizari fear humans," Dr. Warren explained. "Have you noticed? They're almost obsessed with capturing or killing us." Jack nodded. "But why? The Earth Alliance barely knows this sector exists." "I discovered why during my captivity." Dr. Warren led Jack and Nix to her private chamber, where she revealed a hidden compartment in the wall. From it, she removed a small crystal device. "This is a Drizari data core I stole when I escaped. It took me months to decode even parts of it." She activated the device, and holographic images appeared above it, chemical formulas, star charts, and what looked like mining operations. "The Drizari Empire is built on control of a rare mineral called luthrium. It powers their ships, their weapons, everything." Dr. Warren pointed to one chemical formula. "But here's the interesting part. 10 years ago, Earth scientists synthesized a substitute for luthrium. It was a minor research paper barely noticed, but the Drizari found out." Jack understood immediately. If that technology spreads, their entire empire becomes obsolete, Dr. Warren finished. Their power, their control over dozens of species including the Vex, gone. "That's why they hunt humans," Nix realized. "Not because you are enforcers, but because you are liberators, without even knowing it." Dr. Warren nodded. "The Drizari have been quietly eliminating any humans they find in this sector, trying to prevent the knowledge from spreading. But it's too late. The research is already published back on Earth." This changed everything. Jack's mind raced with the possibilities. If I can contact Earth Alliance and get that formula, we could cut off the Drizari power supply. "That's what I've been working toward," Dr. Warren said. "But my equipment isn't powerful enough to send a message that far." Jack explained the distress signal he'd sent from the communications outpost. "There's a chance an Earth ship will pick it up." "A small chance," Dr. Warren cautioned, "but better than we had before." The leader of the Krell, an elder named Reel, agreed to meet with them the next day. Unlike Elder Vax, Reel was young and aggressive, having taken leadership after his father was executed by the Drizari. "Why should we join your fight?" Reel asked when they gathered in the council cave. "The Krell survive by staying hidden." "Because hiding is no longer an option," Jack replied. "The Drizari are expanding their mining operations. Soon they'll reach even these mountains," Nick spoke up. "And because united, we can drive them away completely." Rill seemed unconvinced until Dr. Warren showed him the data core. "The humans have the key to defeating the Drizari, but we need all Vex tribes working together." After much debate, Rill finally agreed to send representatives to meet with Commander Zora and the other Vex tribes. It was a start. 3 days later, as they prepared to return south, a Krell scout rushed into the settlement. "Drizari ships," he gasped. "Many of them, heading this way." Jack ran to the lookout point. In the distance, he could see 5 Drizari vessels approaching. Much more firepower than should be needed for a routine patrol. "They must have tracked us somehow," Dr. Warren said, "or intercepted communications." The Krell began emergency evacuation procedures they had practiced for years, moving deeper into the cave network. But Jack knew the Drizari would simply bombard the entire mountain if necessary. We need to lead them away, he decided. Give the Krell time to escape through the back passages. Lead them how? Nix asked. Jack looked at the equipment they had brought. We create a diversion, make them think we're escaping east while the Krell move west. Dr. Warren insisted on staying with the Krell. I've spent 2 years with these people. They need me to guide them through the underground passages, Jack argued, but she was firm. You need to get back to Commander Zora with what we've learned. That's more important than any one of us. Reluctantly, Jack agreed. He, Nix, and 2 of their team would create the diversion while the others helped with the evacuation. They rigged a small transport sled with a transmitter broadcasting human life signs, then sent it speeding across the eastern ice fields. As expected, 3 of the Drizari ships broke off to follow it. Now we go south, fast and quiet, Jack told Nix. They made it halfway down the mountain when the ground shook beneath them. Looking back, they saw the Krell settlement collapsing as Drizari ships bombarded it. Dr. Warren, Jack whispered. Nix placed a hand on his arm. We must continue. For her sake. They traveled for 2 days, always watching for Drizari patrols. On the 3rd day, as they entered a narrow valley, Jack spotted movement ahead. Down, he ordered, pulling Nix behind a rock. A group of Drizari soldiers emerged from the trees, led by a tall figure in ornate armor with gold trim on black scales. Governor Thaxus, Nix whispered in horror. The governor's cold voice carried across the valley. Human, we know you are here. Surrender now, and the Vex with you will be spared. Jack remained silent, studying their situation. At least 20 soldiers surrounded the governor, all heavily armed. Perhaps you need motivation, Governor Thaxus called. He gestured, and 2 soldiers dragged forward a prisoner, a human man, in a tattered Earth Alliance uniform. Jack's heart nearly stopped. That's impossible, he breathed. The prisoner's face was bruised, but Jack would recognize him anywhere. Eric Daniels, his best friend from the academy, who had been reported killed in action a year ago. Your friend has been our guest for some time, Governor Thaxus announced. Surrender yourself, and he goes free. Refuse, and he dies slowly while you watch. Nix gripped Jack's arm. It must be a trick, but Jack could see it was really Eric. Somehow he had survived and been captured by the Drizari. I have to save him, Jack said. But I need you to get back to Commander Zora. Tell her what we learned from Dr. Warren. I won't leave you, Nix protested. You must. This information could save your entire species. Jack looked into Nix's mirrored eyes. Trust me. After a moment, Nix nodded. As the Vex slipped away through a hidden crack in the rocks, Jack took a deep breath and stepped into the open. Let him go, Thaxus, Jack called. It's me you want. Governor Thaxus smiled, showing pointed teeth. Lieutenant Ellis. At last. Governor Thaxus kept his promise to release Eric, but only after Jack surrendered himself completely. As Drizari guards bound his hands with energy cuffs, Jack watched his friend stumble away. Run, Eric, Jack called. Find the Vex, they'll help you. A Drizari soldier struck Jack hard across the face. Silence, human. Governor Thaxus approached Jack slowly, studying him like a scientist might examine an insect. So many resources wasted because of you. A simple scout who should have died in that crash. Sorry to disappoint, Jack said, spitting blood onto the ground. The governor's scaled face showed no emotion. You will be taken to the capital city. There, you will be publicly executed as an example to all who resist the Drizari Empire. Jack was loaded onto a transport ship and flown to the largest Drizari settlement on Karzia Prime. Unlike the simple beauty of the Vex villages, the Drizari capital was all metal and stone, sharp angles and imposing towers. At its center stood a massive pyramid structure that seemed to glow with faint blue energy. The governor's palace, explained a guard when he noticed Jack staring. Powered by pure Luthrium, the largest stockpile on the planet. Jack memorized everything he saw as they marched him through streets filled with Drazari citizens and enslaved Vex workers. The Vex kept their eyes down as he passed, but Jack noticed small gestures between them, hands forming symbols he recognized from Nyx's teachings. The resistance had spread here too. In the detention center beneath the palace, Jack was thrown into a cell with energy barriers instead of bars. Hours later, the barriers flickered, and a figure was pushed inside. It was Eric, looking even worse than before. "Jack," Eric whispered in disbelief. "I thought I hallucinated you." The friends embraced awkwardly with Jack's hand still bound. "They told me you were dead," Jack said. "Killed in action last year." Eric shook his head. "My scout ship was damaged. In an asteroid field just like yours. The Drazari captured me. They've been asking questions ever since." "About the Luthrium substitute," Jack guessed. Eric looked surprised. "How did you know?" Jack quickly explained everything he had learned from Dr. Warren and the Vex. "I managed to get a message out," Eric said, "before they caught me, to Admiral Cole. He commands the exploration fleet in the next sector." Hope surged through Jack. "When?" "Months ago. I don't know if he received it." Their conversation was interrupted as the cell barriers deactivated again. 4 guards entered, followed by Governor Thaxis. "Preparations for your execution are complete," the governor announced. "Tomorrow at midday, the people of Karzia Prime will witness what happens to those who challenge the Drazari Empire." After the governor left, 1 guard remained behind. He waited until the others were gone, then approached. "The prisoners." "The one you call Nyx sent me," the guard whispered, revealing himself to be a Vex in disguise. "The resistance grows. Commander Zora prepares to attack during your execution, when security will be focused on the central plaza." "Tell her it's too dangerous," Jack insisted. "The Drazari will massacre anyone who tries." The disguised Vex shook his head. "It is decided. Dr. Warren survived the mountain attack and has reached the southern tribes. All Vex now unite under one cause: freedom. Your execution has become the symbol that brings us together." After the guard left, Jack and Eric discussed their options through the night. If Commander Zora was planning an attack during the execution, they needed to be ready to help from inside. Morning came too quickly. Guards arrived to take Jack to the central plaza. To his surprise, they brought Eric too. The governor decided 2 human executions would make a stronger statement than 1, a guard explained with cruel pleasure. The central plaza was filled with hundreds of Drazari citizens and forced Vex laborers. On a raised platform stood Governor Thaxis in ceremonial armor, gleaming black with gold trim. Behind him, the pyramid palace pulsed with blue energy. Jack and Eric were led to the center of the plaza and forced to kneel. Governor Thaxis began a speech about the power of the Drazari Empire and the futility of resistance. Jack barely listened, instead scanning the crowd for any sign of Commander Zora's attack. Then he saw it: Vex workers slowly repositioning themselves around the plaza edges. Others subtly passing objects beneath their cloaks. The attack was coming soon. Eric saw it too. "Whatever happens," he whispered, "make sure you destroy that pyramid. The Luthrium stockpile is what powers their fleet." Governor Thaxis raised a ceremonial weapon. "Let the execution of these human spies begin." At that moment, explosions erupted around the plaza perimeter. The carefully positioned Vex threw off their worker cloaks, revealing weapons beneath. Commander Zora's voice boomed from hidden speakers. "People of Karzia Prime, today we claim our freedom." Chaos erupted as Drazari guards scrambled to respond to attacks coming from all directions. In the confusion, Jack felt his restraints being cut. He turned to see Nyx behind him, wearing Drazari armor several sizes too large. "You're alive," he exclaimed. "Did you think I would abandon you?" Nyx replied, handing him a weapon. Together they fought their way toward Governor Thaxis, who was retreating toward the Pyramid Palace with his personal guards. Eric joined them, moving surprisingly well for someone who had been a prisoner for so long. "We need to reach the palace control center," Eric shouted over the noise of battle. "I can overload the Luthrium reserves." "That would destroy the entire city," Jack protested. Eric's face was grim. It would also disable every Drazari ship in the system. Without Luthrium, they're stranded. As they fought their way into the palace, Jack's translator implant picked up a new signal, a voice he didn't recognize speaking in clear Earth Alliance protocols. This is Admiral Cole of the Earth Alliance vessel Horizon. We have received your distress call and entered the Carzian system. Any Earth personnel, please respond. Jack couldn't believe it. The message he had sent from the communications outpost had been received. Help was coming, but they weren't safe yet. Governor Thaxis was waiting for them in the palace control center, surrounded by elite guards. Fools, the governor hissed. Did you think I wouldn't prepare for this? Even now, my ships prepare to bombard every Vex settlement on the planet. Your rebellion dies today. He activated a console, and screens showed Drazari warships positioning above major population centers. You've lost, Thaxis said with cold certainty. Eric looked at Jack, then at the main power conduit running along the wall. No, he said quietly. You have. Before Jack could stop him, Eric fired his weapon at the exposed Luthrium conduit. The shot connected and blue energy surged out of control. What have you done? Governor Thaxis screamed. Run! Eric shouted, pushing Jack and Nix toward the exit. The reaction will be contained to the palace, but it's going to blow. Not without you. Jack grabbed Eric's arm. Eric shook his head. Someone has to make sure the overload doesn't spread to the city. I can control it from here. Direct the energy upward instead of outward. Eric, go. That's an order, Lieutenant. Eric's face softened. Tell them I did my duty. Nix pulled Jack away as the palace began to shake. They ran through corridors rapidly filling with panicked Drazari. Behind them, blue light grew blindingly bright. They made it outside just as a massive energy beam shot from the top of the pyramid into the sky. The beam connected with the Drazari warships above, engulfing them in blue fire. One by one, the Yao ships lost power and drifted helplessly. As Jack and Nix reached the plaza, they saw Earth Alliance dropships descending through the atmosphere. Admiral Cole had arrived with a full battle fleet. Seeing their ships disabled and their leadership in chaos, the remaining Drazari forces began to surrender. By nightfall, the battle was over. Governor Thaxis had been captured trying to escape. The planet. Commander Zora and the United Vex tribes had control of most major settlements, and Admiral Cole had established a base of operations in the capital city. You've sparked quite the revolution, Lieutenant, Admiral Cole said when Jack reported to him. The Drazari Empire is falling apart without their Luthrium advantage. Similar uprisings have begun on 3 other worlds. Jack looked out over the city, where Vex and humans worked together to restore order. It wasn't just me, sir. It was the Vex. They just needed to believe freedom was possible. 2 days later, as peace negotiations began between the Earth Alliance and the newly formed Vex Council, Jack found Nix standing on a balcony overlooking the former Drazari capital. What will you do now? Nix asked. Return to Earth? Jack thought about everything that had happened since his crash landing. Admiral Cole offered me a position as liaison between Earth Alliance and the Vex, if I want it. And do you? Jack smiled. I think I've found where I belong. In the distance, the sun set over mountains where the Krell were already dismantling Drazari mining operations. Dr. Warren had been appointed scientific advisor to the new Vex Council. Commander Zora was organizing a planetary defense force combining Vex knowledge with human technology. They thought I came to kill, Jack said quietly. But in the end, we all found freedom together. Nix's silver hand found his. Not the end, Jack Ellis. Just the beginning.